That's why I also don't get. Like, did he post that as like? Did he link it for GB proof and then?
But he made it public on his YouTube channel.
Yeah,
or he probably tweeted it out.
Yeah, or maybe like the admin took the YouTube link.
Said it like, bro, you got to see the proof I saw. I just got sent.
Yeah. I mean, it's valid proof. You can't lie. This guy's speaking straight facts.
Well, he did hit you with the sun.
Oh my god.
All right, cool. Should we go? Oh no, we're live. We're live, baby. What's good? Welcome everyone. Hello. I don't know if you told me, Emil. Maybe your mic was just like low or something. But I'm here. I'm on stream. Okay, you're good. You're good. What's good, everyone? Welcome to the show. We're back again, baby. It's actually been a surprisingly, to be fair, the early part of this week, or like, 6 days ago, load of roster news happening. So we're going to dive into all that. And then the last couple of days has been full of drama all across the board. Just love to see it. How's it going? We got full cast today as well. Lightning got a new background. What's going on?
Yeah, just switch it up. I want to kind of buy Discord Nitro and then be able to put it as whatever I want, you know?
I see his other rules. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get someone to gift it to you or something like that.
Oh. Man, that's production value.
I used to have,
like $5 a month.
Yeah, I used to have it. It's really cheap.
Oh.
It's like $5 or $10 a month or something.
Yeah, how else did Discord make cash? Is it just that?
Pretty
well, you have to like upgrade servers too, and like that they get money off of that.
Yeah, so like that's a good point. Yeah, like the teams and stuff have the special servers.
$10 a month though for a fucking background on the Breaking Point podcast. I don't know, man.
All I'm hearing is it's worth it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Let's write it off a text. All good.
Steve can buy it for me.
It's definitely a business expense right there.
Definitely is.
Where's this meme at, Omar? Has it come along?
Pimp is being posted.
Oh, I see, yeah. I actually did reply with that, great, let's go. I'd love to see it.
Can't use that.
The engagements are going to go through the roof on that tweet now.
Did you put it on CDL Intel?
Yeah, he posted on.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow, am I gunning? Oh my god, I just got. Wow, this. Oh my god, there's no way this meme is so good. There's no way you went to all this ever over. Well, it even says touch Crim in the bottom left. I actually fried him. He actually got fried. Wow, you guys haven't seen this. You got to head to the Breaking Point Twitter account. Method just got absolutely fried in the 1v1. That's tough. That is tough. Wow, what can I can't even one up that in the Twitter reply, Emma. You've outdone yourself here.
Oh, I gotta go see it. You're really tipping this.
It's good. It is good. It's well done.
Oh, RIP Pop Smoke.
I'm watching.
Yeah, for real. I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, let me just reply with that. That'll do. All right, cool. Yeah, Methods can't compete.
If we ever meet in person, Ray, we've got a 1v1 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually undefeated on LAN 1v1s. I'm 1-0. I was what was it? It was Birmingham 2018. Me and one of the other people who are volunteering, we had a 1v1 London Docks, 1v1 Hardpoint. Smoked him 250 to like 170 or something like that. So just saying.
I'm undefeated too, but I also have no wins. So.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I believe. But yeah, and that was on the ELMA monitors. I'm just saying. So built different, looking like Ben Bance out here.
Oh, what is that fucking video? What the?
This is absolute quality content for the boys. All right, I reckon we crack on. What do we think? Is the chat ready to go? Also, Omar, should I be telling everyone to subscribe to get to 20k, or what's the drill?
20k, we almost there, boys. Surely.
You're so quiet, Omar. There's no way I'm hearing you. But okay, All right, I can tell everyone to subscribe anyway. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the sub button. We're at 19.6. Okay, not bad, boys. All right, let's go. Should I do the countdown? What episode is it, Omar? 80. Okay, here we go.
I tasted
got
18. I
that.
was like,
Does
does it sound right? Does it sound right?
It's gone horribly wrong. All right, cool. I'll do a 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, SlasheR back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome to episode 80, nice round number of the Breaking Point podcast. We've got a full cast today on Twitch and YouTube, all that good stuff, to break down the madness in the COD scene the last week or so. Plenty of roster announcements. Big one, of course, to talk with Austin as well on the FaZe side. And then we had all this drama of the last couple of days, especially the CDL versus WARZONE stuff, which has been rather entertaining. Yeah, gents, I'll hand to you in a second. First of all, just to mention, if you guys are watching on YouTube, we are very close to the 20,000 subscriber milestone. It's been a long time coming, but I know a lot of you guys have enjoyed the content lately, not just the podcast, but all the stuff that Omar and Dad has been pumping out to great effect. So if you haven't yet hit the sub button, for me, it's not even red anymore. It's now like a black subscribe button, which I think it misses its feature really, but at least that's on PC. But yeah, sub button, get to 20k, and that'd be greatly appreciated. And also all the support on the audio platforms as well is great to see. So thanks to all those joining us live. And yeah, boys, how's it going? Lion, new background today. Let's go. Looking good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm slowly running out of backgrounds. They're getting a bit stale at this point. My lighting is still ass. I look like I'm in a den. But yeah, recently, just been posting the cards on Breaking Point. Fucking looking at all the Rostermania. The 1v1s have been pretty interesting. Talk about that a bit today. And yeah, how are you, Austin and Chrome?
You first,
Did my mic
Crown.
go bad again?
Yeah.
I'm
What
good, bro.
happened?
Yeah, yo,
Oh,
I don't know.
fuck.
Your mic, it sounds like
Since
there's
it
a fan
started,
or something. I don't know.
You just gotta sit there and wait for it.
Everyone's had mic
Alright.
issues this morning. But no, I'm good. I'm good, bro. It's just hoping to get some announcements. I know some teams want to film content, which is probably the better way to go, so we might have to wait a while for some. I remember last year and a few years before, like Florida took months. You know, obviously Boston wasn't around, and I think Optic took a while as well. Some of these teams want to film content, so hopefully we get some announcements this week. And you know, some of the teams I'm still not sure on, so we might have some surprises here and there. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see about that one.
Actually, I hope stuff's starting to drag, man. This off season is gonna be a while. I still have to like remind myself we got another 2 months, man. But
Crazy.
yeah, it's been nice though to kind of like detox, right, guys? You don't have to worry about when the
Yeah.
next tournament is and shit. But at some point, it's gonna like flip a switch, and we're gonna just want everything now. So just waiting for that.
It's
to
felt
happen.
good. It's felt good to have my weekends to myself. You know, I don't have to get up at 7 a.m. to watch matches. And even though I love watching matches, but I love, you know, having a weekend on my kids and those types of things. I can actually take them out properly.
Yeah, I
100%.
love being able to well, it's not always been the case because there's been some need for emergency videos lately, but I always enjoy when I can make the videos in the morning and then just know that I can chill in the evening with not having to
Yeah.
worry. At the moment with Rostermania it doesn't happen, but it's always a bit of a stress when it's like, oh, there's matches tonight, I've got to stay up till 2 or whatever it would be. But I think, well, anyway, for me, it's good that it's dragging on because it keeps the interest up until the last team is announced. So I'll take it personally, because otherwise, as soon as the last team announces, or like it gets to the point where most teams are being announced, dead zone. So we'll see about that. But I mean, yeah, and of course there was some more prime off-season drama going on with the CDL versus WARZONE stuff the last couple of days. This is the first thing I wanted to talk about really because it's been an interesting one. It's tough to. So I think the origin of this really is. I think a couple of weeks ago, week and a half ago, there was some talk from Aiden and, you know, Sib went back and forth with him saying that, like, Aiden was effectively saying, yeah, the CDL pros are trash, WARZONE pros would be better. I'm sure Aiden was just joking around, basically. But obviously, people started to take it seriously. And then a week or so later, people want to do an actual match of this. And the issue is, from my perspective, is it's incredibly hard to find a way to do like a fair matchup here where you don't have players that obviously have more experience in that particular mode. Then again, I believe the initial discussion from some of the Warzone guys was like, look, we'll play on your turf and we'll beat you, which seems unlikely to me, but just get them in a 4v4 hardpoint and let's give it a go. Because otherwise you've got to think about, okay, you got to do hardpoint, you got to go then into Warzone and do some caldera or whatever the map is called, then do some search. And I think Hitch was trying to make that happen, but most of the COD pros were just like, I can't be asked doing that. Like, it's just too much effort, and there's only anything to lose rather than anything to gain, whereas the Warzone guys obviously are understandably keen. But then there was the 1v1 radar ons that went down. Methods got smoked. Well, he didn't get smoked. He lost 2-1 to Biffle, and then zoomaa got his trade, and then Scrappy got the whole COD scenes trade by just smoking everyone, and then Sib got smoked by Aiden as well. That was what I watched actually when I woke up that morning, so quite entertaining really. So I mean, look, 1v1 radar on, Scump has come out and said, look, doesn't really mean that much. It is very random, especially with radar on. It's very random. It's a very specific skill set. Like, I think some people have compared it to, you might be a freestyle footballer that can do around the world and do a lot of keepy uppies, but can you actually play pro football? Unlikely. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this, right? Do you think there's going to be more coming on this, Austin?
No. Like, the whole argument stems from, like, not even the Warzone people, it's like the fans of them that think that they can be that good. I mean, in reality, it's going to sound harsh, but the top Warzone players are the ones that either retired from the CDL because they can't find a spot in the CDL anymore, or they were amateurs that never even came close to coming to the CDL. And like, that's just the fact of it. Like, there's a couple of Warzone players that are really good that came up by themselves just on the Warzone side, but even them, most of them were from other BRs that then came in. So yeah, I just like, the majority of it comes from random fans who have never watched a CDL that say, like, professional Call of Duty, oh, this guy is so good in Warzone, he can do that. But you can't compare a competitive scene where you're playing against competitive players to a Warzone scene where the whole competitiveness comes to how many Timmies you can kill and how many Jimmies you can bully. It has no effect on skill. Yes, there is skill involved, but there's the majority of it that's luck is way too big to be considered anything. Like, could these guys, like, some of them, grind the CDL scene, like the competitive scene? Yet most of them would end up on the challenger side. I don't even think most of them would be that high up on the challengers. It would take them probably a year or two. So that's just my 2 cents in the whole thing.
Yeah, I think there was the first 24 hours afterwards, there was a lot of copium on the timeline. Like, there was so many excuses, like, oh, the ping was different, or he's using GA attachments. I think we need to give them credit that they proved that they can shoot just as straight as everyone else. And the thing with the radar on is, like, 3 things matter when you have radar on, right? It's your positioning, how straight you can shoot, and your movement. Those 3 things are the 3 most important things in Warzone. So of course they're going to be good at, doing 1v1s, because that's what they do. They 1v1 people all day on Warzone. But I think we need to give them a little bit more credit, because Biffle looked really, really good. I was like, yo, this guy can actually shoot. I don't know if he comes from a search and destroy background, but like, I feel like that dude would actually be a good player. But yeah, like Rab said, you can be good at dunking a basketball, but can you do everything else? It's pretty much the same thing, right? Like, these dudes can shoot straight, and they know positioning, and their movement is incredible, but I don't think that they would last in the CDL. I don't even think they would sniff the CDL, if I'm being honest.
No. What do you reckon the best way to be able to compare them would be? Would it be like a mixed series where it's like SND, Warzone map, SND, or like a kill race in Warzone and then SND? Like, what would actually be the perfect combination to get like the fairest assumption?
I don't think there is one, bro. I honestly don't think there's. No.
Yeah.
Because you're either
what
going to their turf, you're either going to their turf that they don't play.
What it's not is radar on 1v1s, bro. Come on, we were making fun of people for doing that, and like the actual MW2. Why was that the first choice for what we're doing? Like, goddamn, who came up with that idea?
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't think of anything better to play. I mean,
it was entertaining, though. That was the point of it. It was entertaining. Yeah. Like, we all loved
hardpoint,
it. Like,
1v1 hardpoints could be good. But
yeah.
I mean, I agree. I don't really know what the point of that was, but Another question I have is, I know Pred said on stream that, like, look, if he was back out there in the US right now, get a team, get the absolute all-star team of Pred, Shotzi, Dashi, and Cell, and they were like, we'll smoke absolutely everyone. Like, what sort of handicap do you think that they would be able to give? Like, could they sit in spawn to 0-100 and win? Like,
No
what do you
bullshit.
think
Probably
is
you can
the
give him 220 points, 220.
No way. I refuse to believe that. I
Bro,
refuse to believe it that dominant.
There was always some pub stars that always could play competitive. They used to grind ranked mode, so they actually knew the rotations, and they got like 4 points.
Yeah, it was like
I've seen the
12,
videos.
11 points or something.
No
They
bullshit.
did it in,
This guy's putting the fucking Infinity Stones on his gauntlet. Like they would literally be probably able to give him like at least 200 points.
yeah, there was one in BO4 too. I think it was like Korean Savage and a few others were pub stomping, and they came across some CDL players, and bro, they got smoked, like actual smoked.
Agreed. It went pretty. So yeah, we'll see. There could be more to come. I'm sure there will be to some degree. I know that Hitch is now planning to do something when the new game launches, because I think a crossover tourney would be interesting when the game has just come out. So like, there's maybe no there's no knowledge gap between the pros and the Warzone players in terms of how to play the new Warzone map and how to play the new hardpoint map. So there might be a more test of just pure skill without considering like the knowledge and the meta and the rotations and all this type of stuff. So maybe that'll happen. It might be time to talk about Rostermania, baby. And I think we're going to start with the big one, and that is the SlasheR to FaZe thing. Austin, you're here. It's good to have you. Obviously, last week we talked about the rumors that your team was going to make a change. SlasheR comes in. Now, look, I am biased because, as I said last week, I'm a bit of a SlasheR enjoyer, and I made the very hot take on Crone's poll to say that they're going to get better. People are roasting me, but we'll see about that. Because look, maybe I'm faded, but all I'm saying is that obviously FaZe think they're going to get better. So, must be a reason that they made this move. But yeah, I've got a lot of talking points on this, but I'm not gonna spout them off. Like, I don't know what you want to say on this, Austin, and what you can say as to why this change happened, why you guys thought you needed a new main AR, or if there's anything to even discuss it, or how long this change might have been considered for, or if SlasheR was the first option. Like, there's all these talking points. So, like, whatever you can and would like to discuss on this, feel free to do so.
No, this, from what I know, is pretty fresh. It wasn't like something that was like mid-season. You know what I mean? I didn't even know we were picking him up originally. I found out like really late. But like, I don't think it's necessarily. I would not like assume things based off of like past iterations of what SlasheR's played on compared to what this is going to be, because this is like a whole nother can of worms. If you look at SlasheR's rosters from the last like 3 years, he was like the focal point of those rosters. Like, and last year it was him and Kenny, and 2020 it was him and Dashi. Like, he's always been the person that was it was him and Kenny again in 2020, and then because Dashi really wasn't like playing that well. So like, this is going to be completely different compared to that. This will be more of like what it was in the 100 Thieves days, where when he has a lot of talent around him where he can kind of like command it. So I wouldn't really compare the last 3 years of his career till now. And, non-biasedly looking at that, he's had a lot of like rough years. And I think that's probably helped him like mature and like see what it's like on the other side of the grass, or other side of the fence. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always greener. And like, sometimes like if you're not in the most perfect situation, it is mentally grinding. So like, I really do think like this is one of those situations where he's really gonna like really try to make the most out of it, because he's seen like the lows that he's had over the last couple of years and like the highs that he's had in his career, and like this is the opportunity to reach one of those peaks and maybe even eclipse it. So like, it's a real probably exciting prospect for him to be able to get into that situation and work with that talent. And his one job will literally be to put up a whatever KD, literally whatever, and just be a leader, command the troops around the map. That's it's the same job. It's just a different person now filling that role. So I would not. A lot of people were like bashing him for how he's played the last 3 years. You just got to remember that when you're looking at it. mean, you can still have your question marks, your thought process around it. So, overall, I'm really not worried. I think it's gonna like it. Whenever you have this honeymoon phase, it depends on like obviously we're having it late now, but or early into the off season. But if it lasts longer into the season, and then who knows how long it lasts, if they pick up momentum, then it can keep going. But overall, I mean, it's exciting. It sucks. I'm really sad like not having Alec on the team. Like it actually really sad to me. But at the same time, it's like exciting to have a new iteration, a new like teammate on the roster. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, was it just a state of like the team had kind of run its course, like last season's difficulties started to take their toll on stuff? Because obviously, if the team feels like it needs to make a change, there's only one change that's ever going to be made, right? That's just how it is. Like, do you feel like that was the case internally, or it was kind of, because it's almost like this is kind of my understanding with Toronto, is it's kind of like they'd kind of just had enough of playing with some of the other guys on the team, even a couple of years of decent success. Obviously, Van Gogh wasn't great, but like at some point, the team just runs its course, and you've just got to make a change for the betterment of both parties, you know?
So I don't want to like put any words because I honestly wasn't involved in the process of releasing Alec or signing another player. Like I was really out of the loop with all that. But like this past year has just been really like mentally draining on like everyone involved in the team from top to bottom. It was really rough. No one likes second place. You're the first loser and it fucking sucks. And everyone lets like everyone has let all the players, the team, everyone know that we are expected to win and we keep coming in second. And it was really mentally draining. And just like in football, just like in any other sport, sometimes you just need a different voice. And I think that's kind of like what this was, is this like a different voice to kind of, bring a different energy in. I don't really know if there was too much else to that. But that's just kind of like how I kind of look at it. Nothing like, not to take away from Alec at all, not to take away from anyone involved. It just seems like maybe this could be a situation where it's just like another voice to bring in to try to refresh the energy, try to make it click again. Because like this past year was just, I know it was rough on everybody. Like everyone within the league, everyone will tell you this was a rough year from top to bottom. Maybe probably LA will still tell you it was a rough year at the beginning of the year. But like it was just a tough, like mentally draining season. I think like this is something that could help rejuvenate the team, and hopefully this also helps Alec in the long term too. Because I mean, I'm happy he landed on LA Gorillas. I really hope he's like succeeds too, because he's still my guy. Like I feel bad, I feel horrible that he got released and everything that happened. So I hope this is good for both parties. You know what I mean?
Agreed. I mean, I hope it works out, because I'm down for SlasheR to. I mean, this is like, he's been blessed so hard here. Like, he must still be going to bed just laughing to himself about how this has possibly come to fruition. I mean,
imagine getting that call like, "Yo, do you want to join FaZe?" Be like, "Yo, what? What the hell? Yeah.
Wait, who is this?
Where do I
trolling?
sign? What the fuck?"
Oh man, that's just so that's just so funny. I mean, yeah. What's your thoughts about this Crone, right? Because it's a bit of a weird one. Like, Cell ends up back on the flex here. Like, there's a lot of questions about this change. Like, the search and destroy question is also quite big, because SlasheR's S&D stats have always been great, and this past year especially, Lion obviously knows very well, putting the card together, were pretty spectacular. And I think if anything, it was FaZe's search this year that wasn't where maybe it usually is. So maybe a new leader with great search and destroy prowess could help in that sense.
Yeah, I like the move, honestly. Like, I feel bad for Arcitys to go from a team like FaZe to a team that hasn't really succeeded that often. They did win last year once, but I do feel bad for him that he was kind of the scapegoat, I think. But I mean, like you said, if there was going to be a change in this team, it would probably be him. Like, I doubt they would change any of the other three. So I made a poll at the start of just after they announced him, and I was actually surprised by the results of this poll. It had almost 60k votes, and 51% said it was a worst move to remove Arcitys and add SlasheR. I voted lateral personally, and I actually think it's more closer to better than worse. But I did vote lateral. And I was mind blown by that, honestly, because I don't think SlasheR is not a bad player, and he played
People
really well
forget
this
that.
year.
People are forgetting.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
like,
telling
yo,
you.
like, okay, he struggled the last 2 years, but the last 2 years were like, for him, well, he was in a really bad situation. Like,
Still won
Thieves
an event.
last year, he was like, yeah, exactly. He won an event this year. But even in Cold War and Modern Warfare was a disaster for him. You know, Dashi was meant to be one of the best players, and he was like, his stock was at his lowest, to the point where Toronto declined having him for Benson Classic, which is crazy to me. And then move on to Cold War. They were switching teams. They were having roster changes like every 3 weeks. So people forget, man. SlasheR was really good this year. So I don't know why people said it was worse. I'm not sure if it's the leadership thing and they're worried about SlasheR clashing with the other three. But I think it'll be fine. Honestly, I think SlasheR's matured a lot. I think he's been through a lot. I don't think he's going to take this for granted and just throw it all away by, you know, making stupid arguments and things like that. I think it'll be a good move, and I'm real excited to see FaZe next year, because I think they'll be incredible. I truly do. I think they'll keep going as good as they have been the last 3 years. Maybe better. Like, who knows? We have to wait and see. But I like this move a lot, and I was surprised by the poll results.
I mean, stats-wise, last 2 years for him have actually been like really, really good. And it is probably because he's picking up more slack than usual on the slaying side. But yeah, I'm just excited to see. Well, you mentioned how you doubt there'll be arguments. I think that really depends on results.
Yeah, for sure.
If like they play poorly, and I think like the minimum for them is coming second.
Well,
Like, wouldn't you agree, Austin?
let me nip
Like,
that
if
in
you
the
come
bud first
anything
off
worse than
too.
second?
Nipped it in the bud. I don't really care if there's arguments or anything. Like, that's never. First off, like, arguments show like passion, and like that's.
I mean, there's always going to be
fine.
arguments.
That's
Yeah.
that means people care. That means people give a shit. It's about who you surround that person with to make those arguments into productive actual conversations. So like I could give two shits if people are arguing, because it means they give a fuck. But all I care is that it's not just turning into a screaming, shouting match. It's turning into something that makes the team better. So like I'm fine on that front. But you can continue. I just wanted to make sure, because I did see people talk about like, oh my god, can you imagine if they fight? It's like, well, I mean, you can look at the people on the team. There's probably gonna be some butting heads, but like that's what everyone that surrounds the team is gonna be there for, not to sit there and cheerlead it, but to mediate it and make it actual worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can keep going on. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I forgot where I was at, but yeah, I'm just hoping that it doesn't come to that, and I'm sure with your coaching staff, with the whole team, it won't get to that point. But yeah, I don't know if I've got anything else to say on that change.
I mean, no, it's all good. I think that Austin's right, and the thing is, from my perspective, is it's like, I don't think that SlasheR. I think that a lot of the time SlasheR's been on teams where he's thinking like, damn, these kids I'm playing with, I'm the best on this team. Like, this is the first time in his career where he's on a team where he's probably the fourth best player, right? Like, that's not even, it's not even really possible to build a team where that's the case, apart from this specific team of four. And that's the other thing people forget. Like, if you have to rank best many-yards of all time, let me give you the list. You're taking Formal, you're taking Clayster, that's 1, 2, whatever order. Then you're taking probably Arcitys now after 2 rings. Maybe not, depends what people will say, most prize earnings. Then you got SlasheR. Then you've got like maybe Octane, right? That's like your top 5 right now. So SlasheR's top 3, top 4 many of all time. So, you know, people quick to forget. That's all I'm saying. So, I mean, the other part of this as well is that like Simp and aBeZy last year did not have their greatest year, right? Like, I mean, Simp's stats still were pretty damn good for his worst ever year competing, but like, those aren't usual Simp numbers. And aBeZy this year had a pretty rough year by his standards, despite the fact that the numbers still like pretty decent for a standard aggro SMG player. And aBeZy was mentioning, right, in a video, Austin, that, you know, last year the work ethic maybe wasn't quite there, didn't really like the game. This year he's going to be on it from the word go. And that's another scary thing, right? Because, you know, it's not like SlasheR necessarily would make this team better, even though I think he could. It's also that Simp and aBeZy are likely, I think, to rebound from kind of like a regression to the mean type thing, right? Maybe they had an above average year in Cold War, they've had a below average year this year. Next year, they're more than likely, statistical probability, they're more than likely to be more like where they should be, which is better than they were this year. So if Simp and Avizi get better, maybe Cell gets worse, who knows? But he's not the most impactful player anyway. It's the SMGs. And then SlasheR comes in, it's like, I think this squad is, it's a scary, it's always a scary squad, but I think this squad is even scarier now, especially because like the whole SlasheR villain thing is just so good. Like I can't wait for SlasheR to come out to the booze with like a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet on.
Yeah.
And just
I hope he
destroy
snakes
everyone.
his dick off this year, bro.
Oh my
That'd be so funny.
god.
Yeah. People just have to
will be
remember,
so
like,
bad.
like SlasheR's not going to be in there to drop like MC and Dashy type numbers. Like he's not going to be in there to drop 1.4s, 1.3s. He's going to be in there to provide leadership, to be a voice in the communication, like to be the main voice in the communication, and to fill the gaps, to be that person in the back, which is going to be fine. It's what he can bring out of everybody else, and that's going to be the crucial part of it. That's why that's like this is a change in voice, change in like the IGL. So it's more of like you can't just like judge individually what like Austin will do this next year. You also have to judge what he gets out of the other three. That's gonna be like important as well. So that's just something to think about. He's not gonna be in the same position of the last 3 years where he has to be that main Slayer. He's gonna be the fourth, as you just said, the fourth Slayer on the team. He doesn't have to be number 1, 2, or 3. He's gonna be the number 4, and that takes a lot of pressure off of him, and he can still step up when is needed, but like that takes a lot of pressure off. It just puts pressure on doing the IGL, being the main voice, commanding the troops when stuff gets, when it's in the tight moments. So I feel like he can definitely do that. And people that say like the team's gonna get worse, I like even I don't know. Like we have to develop it, see what comes, and I'm sure it's gonna be a good like spot come Modern Warfare 2. So I'm not worried. Not worried at all.
Just a quick final comment on, I don't know if you have any idea what's going on with the Crowder side, but I know that people have been quite excited about the possibility of Crowder as the head coach back with SlasheR, considering what they did back in the 100 Thieves days. I know that there's been this tweet thread earlier tonight between Paul from Atlanta Esports Ventures and Crowder, kind of having a back and forth as to whether Crowder's going to stay or not, how much money he has to pay him to stay, because I think we've kind of known that Crowder wants to do the content route, but I know that some have suggested that maybe what Crowder would do is instead of being like the full-time coach, it'll be more like he does content, but then also is still involved with the team to a certain extent. Because with no Crowder, I think there's more of a risk that the chemistry doesn't work out quite so well. But I don't know if you got any thoughts on Austin.
Honestly, I have no clue. I'm the wrong person to ask. I would wait till Chris says something on that. I literally I get my same news from you guys. I really don't really know what's gonna happen. Again, like this past year was pretty stressful. Again, like getting second sounds great, but when you're expected to win every single time, second, and you keep doing it repetitively, fucking sucks. Mentally draining because you keep trying to figure out ways to change stuff to make better. I just know he was really drained after this year. He needed some time off. He's been streaming. I've been watching his streams a lot. He's been vibing. So, yeah, just wait for that. I don't think I don't think it's gonna be anything crazy. I'm just waiting for him to kind of detox this off season. Get the morale back up, and then if he wants to, of course he'll do it. If he needs some time off, I'm sure that the team will be fine. People are kind of, we have RJ as our assistant coach. Both of those guys split what they do. They're both amazing coaches. They both split the role. They're basically head coach A and head coach B. They do the same thing. So like RJ is more than capable of fulfilling any gap that we have in the team. He would literally be the best coach in the CDL outside of Chris. Like they would both be 1A and 1B if he wasn't on Atlanta. And I firmly believe that. He is technically the winningest coach in Call of Duty history. RJ, he has the most wins ever out of any coach in the in Call of Duty history. So like series wins. So like he's a terrific coach. So if anyone's worried about that, but yeah, that's where that is.
All good, all good. Let's talk the other side of the FaZe stuff. Arcitys, he has his new team, goes to LAG, it's official. We've got the squad of Arcitys, Spart, Hook, and Neptune. The weird thing to me about this was, like, the whole 3-year deal thing. I don't mind the 3-year deal for Arcitys. You want to build around him. You're still confident he can be, top winning player even outside of FaZe. And I'm really excited to see because like there's a lot of pressure on a lot of these teams and orgs next year because obviously FaZe have a lot of pressure, but also Arcitys has a fair bit of pressure to prove that because people are saying that Arcitys got screwed over here, but I'm like, look, at the end of the day, as a man he got to play with the 3 best players in the world for the last couple of years. Like it's not exactly a bad gig he's got. And now his stock is like all-time high to the point where people are saying that SlasheR is going to be a clear downgrade. So he goes to LAG, fair bit to prove. They've committed to a 3-year deal with him, but also a 3-year deal with Spart, which to me is kind of mind-blowing because I'm like, what? I don't know. Spart's a good player, I think. And I think Spart is a somewhat underrated player. Like, he almost strikes me a little bit like a Draza-esque player in a way, where he's pretty solid, great at search and destroy, but a player that's, I doubt he's going to be spectacular, but who knows? And I also don't really understand, like, who's going to poach Spart from LAG? So, I don't know. It's a weird one to me, the whole 3-year deal on this one. But yeah, I mean, I'll throw it to you, Crone, but to me, this team has a pretty damn high ceiling. They've got a lot of talent here, but I can see this team, like, completely flopping because there are a lot of other good teams out there.
Yeah, I'm not big on this team if I'm being honest. I don't know. I just feel like there's no superstar on this team as of right now. Like one could turn into one in the season. And the Spart thing was also weird to me. And I think the 3rd year, I could be wrong, but I think the 3rd year is a team option. I could be wrong though, but I would assume that's how it would work. But
I think it could differ. I think it could be a straight up 3 year. I think it could be 1+1+1. Yeah, I don't know 100%, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that there was probably like a cheaper sided deal. Like, I don't think he's on fucking super max. 3 years. It's probably, I would think it was a little bit more cheaper than what people think. And that's why they signed up for 3 years. I'm just guessing. I honestly don't know. But like I said, I'm not sold on this team. Still think Neptune. I still think he has a high ceiling, even though last year he didn't really get a shot. Let's be honest here. But I don't think last year he really got to really prove his worth. And I still think that his ceiling is high for now. So I think he could still come out and be a great player. People forget that in Cold War he was like really good. He was good. People forget that.
Yeah, but he was on Florida.
Yeah, I mean, true. Everyone looks good on Florida, right?
He was pretty inconsistent. He had like some stages where he was good and some where it fell off,
Yeah. I remember I heard his buyout for subliners, like for him to go to subliners was like massive. Like huge. So obviously like the league rated him if his buyout was that big, or maybe Florida were just a little bit greedy. But and then for the other two, Hook and Spa, it's like Hook, we've seen his ceiling. Like, we know how good he can be, and I don't think he'll ever be as good as he used to be at his peak. And Spa he's in the same boat as Neptune, but I probably wouldn't have his ceiling as high as Neptune. And I could be faded for that take, but they're all good players. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like there's no like. When you're building a team, you want to build a winning team. You don't want to build a team that's coming top 6, top 8, top 10. Like, if you're not building the best team that you can, I feel like it's a waste of time. And I feel like there's no like superstar on this team. So I'm not sure how far they're going to get. And I don't know if they're going to win events. I highly doubt. If they win an event this year, then I'll buy some merch from them. Heaps of it, $500 worth. But yeah, I don't think they will. I don't think they will win an event. I don't even think they'll make it to the finals.
Damn.
I hope they prove me wrong though. I do, because I do like the Gorillas. I do like the players too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I gave my opinion on this team last week. I don't really know where like all the slang is going to come from, because none of this team this year. Well, I guess Arcitys, it's hard to tell because he was on FaZe. You can't really judge his slaying numbers. But for the most part this year, it was like each of these players dropped like a 0.9 and weren't very effective in kills per 10 minutes. And it's like, is that going to translate into the next game? Are they going to have a player that they put on a pedestal to slay, like a Stellium or a Dashi? And who would that player be? His Spart, for the most part, had like a 0.9, pretty low engagements, was in the hill a lot. Arcitys was playing his life quite a lot. Hook, for the most part, had just like a really poor KD and just was having a lot of engagements but not getting many kills. And then Neptune, obviously, we don't really know where he's at right now because he had 2 pretty disastrous rosters to play on. So it's like you can't really gauge any of these players and where they stand. And for the most part, I think they just need to find a galvanization within themselves and as a group, and then, I don't know, work it out amongst themselves, because I really don't see where they can be successful right now. That's all I really got to say on that.
I feel like their peak is probably in like the top 4 range. I think if a top 6, top 4. Just as like I think this season was a little bit more, not random, but it was easier for an underdog to come up through. I don't think we will get that next year per se. So I think it will be harder for like the underdog to really shine through consistently, like happened this year. But I could still, if they won last year, they can win this next year. I'm very not high on Hook and Neptune SMG duo. That's probably on the lower end of the league for me, but they could be better. I know Neptune I still think he has a lot of potential. I think he's still learning Call of Duty. I think personally he had a fair shot this year. He kind of bombed it at New York. It is what it is. But what he didn't do is he didn't quit. He went to the challenger side. He came back. He did fairly well at the end of the season. And I think that's fine. I think he just had a bad start to the year. He had a good finish to it. It's just about being consistent. Something that he hasn't been yet in his COD career has been consistent. So he needs to have that. I just don't know. I would not want to hedge my bet on Neptune being your star player. And I don't think Hook is a star player, like gonna be that star player. So it's like, by the sounds of it, they put the 3-year deal on Spart. It sounds like they want Spart to be that star player with Alec. So that's interesting, just because I don't think we've seen that. Like, we've seen like decent performances out of Spart, but I don't think we've ever seen like a couple month put together period of him like fragging out. You know what I mean? So like, it'll be interesting to see. It seems like they're hedging their bet on him developing into that in the right system. And something I do know is like those 3 players of like Neptune, Hook, and Spart were really close. That's why they like stuck together like this. So like maybe like that team chemistry develops, and that one of them kind of like is like a diamond in a rough that develops into that. I'm hedging my bet more on Neptune and Spart, and then Alex is being, you know, a man that's scorned, pissed off, just being like a really good main AR with like that's leading these guys and like teaching them and developing them into the star player role.
Well, the peak of all 4 of these players is extremely high, but it's just, can they reach it all at the same time as well? And that's probably going to be quite unlikely, but hoping for the best for the squad. I want to see Alec do well, especially because do you reckon he got somewhat, I wouldn't say like ratted, but like not scapegoated, what's the word for it, but kind of just like pushed out of the land of FaZe in the nicest way possible?
I mean, you know, like, go on, Austin.
I don't think pushed out is the right word. I just think there's a change of scenery, change of voice is just what happened. I think our team will always have very, very high expectations. It's the same expectations that got placed on Optic and Cold during the dynasties. Not saying we're a dynasty. I'm just saying the expectation, because everyone and their mother calls us a dynasty now, or says we're not a dynasty. Everyone's having that conversation constantly. So like that pressure to like always succeed is there, and like we did not hit those marks last year. I think like there was a lot of frustration, there was a lot of mental draining. I don't think it's scapegoated. I just think it's just a change of scenery and voice.
Yeah.
At least I hope that's. I don't want people to blame Alec at all. I just think the 4 as a unit and the staff and everyone around, we just did not hit expectations last year. And you can blame the game, motivation, whatever. It's at the end of the day, it was a mentally draining year where we didn't hit expectations to where we want to be, or for what fans put on us constantly. So it's just rough.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, look, I just want to see Hook get back to actually being God mode player, and if he doesn't, then I can't see this team doing that much damage. We need like early Cold War Hook, or even late Modern Warfare Hook would be nice. But even then, he wasn't exactly the key slayer on that team. So it's an interesting squad. I think they could have upgraded more than they did, if they even upgraded at all. But I think they will be. This team should make champs, at least, I would say. So that would be an improvement on last year, because the only time LAG ever made champs was when they got gifted it in Modern Warfare, because everyone went to champs, even though they wouldn't have been a champs, but they allowed everyone to go because it was online and it was a best.
This season doesn't count, bro. There was CDL beta. We're still in beta mode then.
How'd you like that? Yeah, CDL beta. Okay. So LAG have never made champs. So maybe this team will be the year to do it. Minnesota confirmed their team. Obviously, we talked about this team at some length last week, so I don't want to go into massive detail here, but I think this was, all things considered, one of the biggest upgrades they could have done. I really like the way this team is put together. I do have some questions about Attach as the main, but I think the other, and it makes sense for them to keep him around, but I do really like the trio of Cammy, Bance, and Afro. You get a good mix of slaying, aggression, but also Bance, I think, would be a fantastic guy to lead Afro to try and become the player that they can be. I'm not really sure the London ecosystem fosters that particularly well. And I just think it's good for Cammy to be part of an organization like this now, with, you know, the good depth of coaching stuff that they have, and Bance next to him. And if Cammy, again, it's like Cold War was overperformance. This year was underperformance. Next year should be a bit better than he was this year, maybe a bit worse than Cold War. Like, that would be nice. Attach might be a bit worse than last year, but whatever. Afro's been great both years he's been in the league. Bance might be in his last, couple of years of competing, but I still think he can be a valuable asset, at least for the first, let's say 4 or 5 months of this team. If it doesn't work out, maybe they make a change there. But I mean, yeah, just before I pass it over, I'll throw it to you, Crone, again, because exciting roster. But the other funny thing is about the whole Toronto stuff, because they kind of got mugged off here. It seems like they're now getting Standy Crone in replacement for. I actually like that. I think it's a good job that Standy gets the spot here. I think it's about time. Like, Stanley Clinics is actually quite nice if they're both on form. But yeah, it's interesting because Toronto lose out on Bance and Cammy, but then they get Standy back from Minnesota. So it's kind of like a weird
they just like trade
that's happened there. Yeah. I think Minnesota coming on top of that trade, but we'll see.
Yeah, I still we talked about it last week, so I won't go too far. But I like this ROKKR squad, and one thing that people are not really talking about is Fame sitting on the bench, and he's a really good player. So if Ben struggles, obviously he's not. Afro's not going to get benched, I doubt. But if Ben struggles and they feel like it's not working, then Fame can come in. I watched them play a LAN in Oklahoma with Cruz, paulehx, and Hamza. No, wait, no, that wasn't the team. But he played with Blood Iron, sorry. And Fame was carrying, like, he was beast mode. I was like, yo, put this dude in the starting lineup yesterday. Like, the dude was going crazy. But I think people are not forgetting about that part. If they do struggle, if Bence does struggle, because obviously he's the weakest link here. Fame comes in, bro. He looks good. And I think a little bit, if he stays in challenges for a little bit and works on his game, and I think he will be CDL ready, like mid-season maybe. Who knows what happens though? But I'm a big fan of their roster and their substitute player. And like I said before, I think Standy is going to Toronto Ultra for Hixie. I don't know. When I wrote the article, I said in the article I wasn't sure if they had 100% committed to Hixie, and I guess they didn't. So it looks like Hixie will probably be on the bench and Standy will come in. And I mean, I think that's an upgrade in my opinion. I didn't watch too much of Hixie, to be honest, but I mean, if we get Standy from 2 years ago, or from Cold War, and even in Modern Warfare, he was really good too. And in the challenger scene, he was really, really good. So I like that. I think that's an upgrade for sure, 100%.
Well, I guess Hixie's more of an unknown quantity, and so it would be nice to have him on the bench and bring him in if Standy doesn't perform at that level. I'm just kind of confused why Standy wasn't the same player he was in Cold War. Do you guys have any, do you guys know why?
Anti-Vanguarder, bro. I don't know.
I mean, that whole team was like that, apart from Attach. Like,
it was strange, eh?
I don't know.
Because right at the end of last year, they were a top 3 team. Obviously, they won Stage 5 in the most, dramatic fashion possible. Standy he wasn't Rookie of the Year.
You thought they were top 3?
He was Rookie of the Year, really.
Yeah, well, they won Stage 5, and then they
was
were
joint
competitive
rookie.
champs.
Well,
Huh?
I'm just saying, I thought like Toronto, us, and Dallas were like leaps and
Yeah, they
bounds.
came top 4 at champs, but like they were still pretty good. I mean,
At the end
they
of the
could have
year,
done
like the
damage,
last two
but
events, they were probably top 3, right, on form.
I think Dallas probably either way. You're probably right. Top 4, like
top 4,
minimum.
top 3 minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they come in this year and they're not performing at that level. And I'm just wondering, would you have preferred to have Hixie in there because he's an unknown quantity and then have Standy on the bench to be able to come in just in case that doesn't work out, or vice versa?
I'd rather have
think-
Standy in first and Hixie as the backup.
I would rather have Hixie in first than Standy. I mean, honestly, like Hixie or Standy, you know what you're getting. If it like something I like for Hixie, what I've heard, because like we're doing the top 20 challengers. We just finished the voting data, so that we're getting ready for that. I actually got to talk to Hixie's coach, Mystic, and I talked to a bunch of other people in the challenger scene. Hixie was the IGL for the team, so he would actually be a good substitute for Bance coming into that. And if the remaining parts of that team is Insight, Scrappy, and Kleenex, they need an IGL is needed unless Insight's taking that. That would be the only person that would take that. Hixie would be a good IGL. It reminds me of like how Kenny was saying, like he wanted to be on the SMG because he wanted to be able to call better up front. I personally would go with that first because that fourth player, if you have Kleenex, Scrappy, and Insight, you do not need a Slayer. You need someone to help those guys get the most out of them. So you don't need Standy. Standy's not going to help them get better. Standy is not that type of player. So that's why I think I would go Hixie then Standy.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a good
Definitely an
point.
interesting one because, like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, I was also thinking that if you don't get Standy, then probably a team like Florida gets Standy, and then you kind of lose out on the possibility, and maybe you don't get him if you don't give him a starter spot. So I suppose we'll see, but you know, it did seem like for a little while now that they've been kind of planning Hixie to be that guy, but also you don't have to worry really about Hixie getting poached, I think. So, you know, there's some questions there that Toronto have to answer, but exciting future there for sure. Let's talk Boston because they haven't confirmed their roster, but they've confirmed beyond a reasonable doubt that they are keeping Methods indeed as their main AR for next year. So it's basically minus Tej plus Awakening, which, look, I don't hate it. Obviously, I've said before that I think that if this team really wanted to take a big leap up, then maybe they should have considered a 2-man change with a different AR, maybe that can maybe have better upside with the players that they have on the team and get more out of them. But I think the Awakening move can be a positive with the right structure around him, because I think Awakening, the systems he's played in on Florida, they're not even systems, right? So, I think Boston can achieve something like that, especially with the coaching staff that they have with Zed and the boys over there. So I like it. I also think that they're definitely keeping the pressure on Methods if they do bring Beans in as their sub, because he's kind of one of these talents that might prove undeniable at some point, and I kind of wonder whether Methods is going to get incited again, right? We saw in Cold War when he was in the team at the start and they dropped him for Insight, and then he gets back in the league, and then Beans is sitting there on the bench, maybe not like a main AR player, but like prefers an AR, could run it if needed. So yeah, if Methods or this team underperforms, then they're kind of still saying to Methods, like, you gotta keep an eye on you gotta keep an eye on your ass, basically. Otherwise, we're gonna make some sort of move. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm happy for Methods because I think he was a key piece of their brand, and it's good that they've decided to build around him, I think, because the other options were not exactly guarantees of success, let's just say.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
I feel like to put it bluntly, I feel like there was upgradable positions on this roster given the free agency, and Boston was obligated to explore that, right? That's why you had Zinni on a game loss extension, because that position could have been upgraded, but like Zinni was the best option available at the end of the day, and that's what they went with, which is fine. That's what the organization has to do. It's a business at the end of the day. They made the call. They stuck with them. Let's see how like that builds. One thing I do like is for that flex spot. I thought personally I would have said either Awakening or Gunless Pierce. Would have been a really good player to plug into that roster. Both of them have their pluses and minuses. Awakening's a good Slayer. quieter. So now you have a bunch of quiet people on this team that aren't as vocal, which could be a risk, obviously, because that means communication could be a downfall, but maybe not. Pierce is a good like IGL. He's a good flex, but there's also been like team chemistry problems in the past. I think those wouldn't be too much of an issue, but like again, there's plus and minuses for both players. Awakening's a good player though. I've been saying since Modern Warfare that Awakening is extremely individually gifted. Like he's a great individual player. If he's in this team with the staff and is able to develop into more of like a team player, have that individual talent, he could shine with this with this team. So it will be exciting to see how he does.
Well, the other option for this spot was Clay, right?
For the main AR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the only is Awakening's confirmed though as well, isn't he? Well, not quite yet, but pretty much confirmed.
He's not announced yet. He's confirmed.
Yes. But then we had that Clay news. Like, did you see his tweets today? About how
do you want to talk about that now?
Tweet? Well, yeah, because it kind of ties in.
Yeah, we might as well.
So go away with it if you want. If you have the tweets, right?
I don't have the tweets up, but I know that he was tweeting a lot about I imagine he suffered a loss in either his family or his kind of personal, close group of friends. He's obviously been through a difficult few days. I'm not going to read the tweet out or anything, but you guys can go and look for yourself about the context. But he did just tweet out, and I might as well read it out given that we're here, saying, the grief this last week has made everything else seem insignificant, and I've neglected to secure employment for next year. Looking like playing is chalked due to offers falling through. If anyone has a job opportunity, let me know and I'll get back to you soon. It was actually 2 years ago this day when he won back-to-back champs in Modern Warfare. And he says he got screwed over by a certain team basically offering and me passing up teams to then have that team go in a different directions. That's interesting because that sounds to be like Boston, no?
I think he's talking about Boston.
Paris or Las Vegas.
Or maybe Vegas chose a different AR. Or maybe Temp's the main AR. I don't know. Whatever it is, he's now saying it's looking bleak for a spot. So that's kind of mind-blowing to me because I thought if it was not Boston, it was going to be Vegas, like nailed on. And now it's going to be neither.
Yeah, man, it's sad, bro. Like me and him have obviously not seen eye to eye since I had CDL intel, but I don't want to see him out of the league, bro. Especially going out like this. Like he was benched, 10 games in. Like I want to see him on a team 100%, and I really hope that Paris haven't made a decision yet, and I hope they do. Because Tim has said multiple times that he wants a player like Clayster as well as TJ as well. So I kind of assumed that those were like a team of three, and then the fourth player would just be like whoever's the best SMG left. But I hope he doesn't go out like this, bro. Like this will be sad as fuck to see a legend go out like this.
Yeah, Clay, Temp, Tej, Havoc would have been interesting.
It's just what happened this year is you saw a lot of like slower SMGs turn into main ARs or like flexes, and that takes spots away. And I was actually talking about this today. Like, there's not a lot of AR spots right now. LAG is set. LA Thieves is set. Toronto is set. Seattle is set. Optic Texas is set. Atlanta's set. Minnesota's set. New York looks like it's going to be, Skies and Crone rumored by Priesta. So like that gives you Las Vegas, London, Florida, Boston, and that's it. You have 4, and even then, there's not 8 spots. There's only 1, 3, 5. You could say 6 max spots there. And if you look at the free agency, I would not Clay's not the 6. I wouldn't say he's in the top 6 right now, but he could be. He's on the fringe of who can make that in. But at the same time, it's tough. It's really tough to see him go out because he's obviously a legend. I would love for him to be in the scene, even if it's on Vegas. I don't even care. I would just love for him to be in there. If I could say one thing for Crim and Clay, or for any veterans that are not in right away, I would not give up so easily. I know it's tough to say go in and sit in the challengers or sit and do nothing, and that could be a death sentence. But I would not give up so easily. I would wait to see 100%. Some of these rosters, if the rumored schedule is true, it's going to be pretty cutthroat. If you're not good, you're getting moved. And a lot of these teams are going to look for veteran leadership. They're in the middle of the season. I would not give up so easily and not just quit right away. Give it some time, get your head right. Still play, because at the beginning of the game, you have all the kickoff tournaments. You can still play 8s when everyone's still active at the beginning of the year. Stay with it. Don't give up right away. That would be my advice, because you never know. You never know what offer is going to fall down the pipeline after a team has a bunch of bad performances. So that's at least what I would say for anyone that doesn't get a spot right off the rip. And it's definitely disappointing to see that some players are in that boat.
Yeah, to me, it's a crazy one. Like the fact that Clay and Crim might have to force to retire, not of their own volition. You know what I mean? Like I thought it would always be with those guys that, like, especially guys like, I mean, Crim, I thought, and like Clay, you'd have thought would have been in the same boat, right? That if they still wanted to compete, you'd have thought there'd always be a spot there for them, right? I think Crim's in a maybe slightly different boat, because I know he was talking on stream about the fact that like his health has taken a really big toll this last year with the stresses of that team. Like it's really not been good for his mental and physical health. It's not been good for his relationship with his wife, because he takes out his frustration on her. So like for a few reasons, he doesn't want to just dive back into an incredibly stressful environment again with a few young guys that he's got to lead up. Like I think that he's probably maybe that's fine, but like he wants a spot. I don't think he would take any opportunity that's given to him for any amount of money, basically, is what the gist of it I got on stream. Whereas the Clay thing is like, it seems like any CDL team that gives him a chance, he'll give it a go. He's happy to take a salary cut or whatever. But it seems to have got to a point where these guys, like, they don't even have a spot to go to if they want to, which I find mind-blowing. And I know people have said, and I just think these teams, man, they just like, if I'm the GM of some of these rosters, I'm just like, how much ambition do you really have? Like, yes, there's a risk getting Crim and Clay, but I mean, come on. People are building teams that just aren't going to make champs. I'm like, what are you playing at? At least give it a go. So, I mean, yeah. And the other part of it is, I guess on the whole, Crim, I think what was I going to talk about on the Clay side of things? Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I lost my train of thought on that. Maybe it will come back to me. Further thoughts, guys?
I'm just wondering if like what actually went wrong with Clay's like situation. Well, not like what went wrong, but like did he just stop communicating back with teams, or did they stop hitting him up because of the way he was replying to them? I wonder what actually fell apart for him. But that's all really, because I feel like he isn't probably like a first option for most teams, but he's like a good one. Reliable for leadership as well, so like having him be like an extra piece on another team is like helpful. I can see him being a coach, like out of any former like pros, like he would be like a good coach, like very motivating. Kind of reminds me of like how a Facento was when he coached E United. It's like more of a morale type coach. But I don't know. What do you guys reckon is next for him?
I can see coaching for sure.
I think content creation.
Yeah, but just streaming.
Yeah, coaching sucks when you go from a player to coaching. Like, let me tell you, like I hear it from pretty much everyone that makes that change, because you can't change it. You're not playing the game. You do all the work. You're there all scrims. You're there just as much as you would be playing, and then you don't get to play. You get to watch other people play, and if they make mistakes, you get just as upset, all pissed off, and all like whatever, and you have to keep a straight face the entire time. And it's still the emotional and stressful toll on yourself. So
especially going from like I was a player like 6 months ago, and now I'm not playing and I'm watching, and I'm like, I can probably still play better than some of these people. Like that'll be so frustrating as a coach. Like, come on.
That would be the first thought too. I could have done this better. You know what I mean? So like that's why I think probably if he doesn't play, he's gonna do content creation for at least a year. Maybe that will change. Maybe that thought process will change halfway through the year when he misses it, wants to stay within the scene, or maybe a desk job. I just hope whatever he does, I hope he keeps his options open for still playing, because I firmly believe like teams are gonna be cutthroat this season during the middle of the year, and make changes. So like, stay active. That's all I'm asking. Just stay active. Don't give your hopes up too quick.
Bro, your mental has to be huge to play in challenges, though. Especially when you're someone like Clayster. I don't know how Clayster did it. When you're someone that big, it's like to go through so many roster changes, and they don't CDL don't give a fuck about challenges. It'll be tough for like both of them to go down there. I think it'll be a mental challenge for sure.
I don't think you would have to go down at the beginning of the game. In the first couple months, when people so like love the new game, there's a lot of 8s, there's a lot of tournaments, there's a lot of this stuff that you can play without being on a challengers team. And if you're good enough and you're playing every night in that, you don't have to play challengers as long as you're in those 8 circles. If you're in those S&D 8s, if you're in those tournaments playing with people, keep your name relevant, keep your skill like sharp, and you'll have a chance when you have that big of a brand. At the end of the year, like what happened this year, when not a lot of people were playing 8s, not a lot of people were grinding that hard after scrims, it's hard to keep your name out there. So by playing challengers, that's how you do that. But at the beginning of the game, you still have a chance to be fresh and be in people's minds.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be playing the game, so, I mean, you might as well. It's also because I was thinking, I saw actually people talking about this on Reddit, that there's the major, the major one is a Pro-Am, right? We believe in early December, and there's some qualifiers for it. Like, okay, what if the boys, they put together a team, maybe Crim and Clay, okay, they're probably not going to play together, but you know what I mean? They put together a squad, they make it through the qualifiers, they turn up to the major and beat a couple of pro teams. Like, that'd be just class. So, and then they'd be saying, look, we're still here, lads. We're still here. That would be funny. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do that or whether they even want to do that. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough scenes for those guys. I just agree with you, Austin, that at some point they do have to. And also the issue is with me is like, if I was going to get Clay, is that you really know that for Clay, if he doesn't retire this year, he probably retires next year, or like it really is kind of last chance saloon, you know what I mean? Like he's got max 2 years left maybe. And it's kind of one of those things where if you do take the risk on Clay and the team gets frustrating for him and doesn't work out, I think there's a possibility he's just like, you know what, screw this, I've had enough. Get me out of here. I'm just gonna go chill on a beach for a while. So I think that's kind of the maybe one of the other risks there that maybe Boston saw, but I guess he's maybe probably not happy with what Boston did, leaving him on red and then choosing methods anyway. So yeah, I just hope that they stay around the scene to a point where, like, I remember when Formal retired, and obviously he's still retired, but he still appears in videos and conversations quite often because he's on stream and he's commenting and talking about what's going on in the CDL. So I think just because people retire and go and do other stuff doesn't exactly mean that they're not going to still be relevant within the COD landscape, you know. But I want at least one of them to stick around.
100%.
Yeah, what's Porter going to do? Like
content for sure. Like
his streams are too funny, man.
Yeah.
His best content is him having like outrageous takes. So like,
I think
what's he
that's
gonna do? I feel like him on the desk would be hilarious.
Yeah.
No?
You could go on there. You could be a flank co-host, like him and X.
Oh man, him and X. I mean, that would be probably borderline unwatchable. I mean, I never watched the flank live anyway because like I can't stand listening to it in 1x speed. Like I don't know how people do it. I watch it back afterwards in 2x on the YouTube VODs.
That's smart.
And it's much more effective because all the arguments and the stupid stuff goes twice as quick. Not saying I don't love the flank, I do, but it's better in 2x speed. So yeah, Crim and X would be quite something. But I don't know if my ears could take that. I'd love to see it. Would I prefer to see him on the desk? I don't know. It'd be class, wouldn't it? Like greatest of all time. On the desk.
They wouldn't let him on the desk ever. They wouldn't even. Nah.
Yeah, but the viewership would double like between games.
True, I would actually watch the desk segments.
Yeah, I don't watch it. I actually put it on mute.
I
don't watch it. That's real ratchet, but like I actually put it on mute. I just watch them like talk amongst themselves, and then I put it back on when the game's on. You know.
I do that too.
Yeah, it's just a bit rough. But yeah, I think the flank would be hilarious with those two. Who else could you get on the flank?
Haggie's not going to be there anymore.
Is he not?
I think he said that he wants to do he wants to be a coach somewhere. I know he actually just tweeted about that he had an opportunity that fell through. I don't know. There was rumors that maybe, I mean, these rumors might be completely unfounded, but like there were rumors that LAG would maybe think, because obviously like maybe that was a thing. But then also you've got the whole Sender thing that's going on now with, of course, Sender and Arcitys back in the Huntsman days. So maybe there's that connection there. So yeah, not sure really where Hagi's going to find a spot as a coach. I think he'll get one somewhere. At least you'd think he would, especially with all the coach mania going on with Marky B and Phoenix and Sendo and all these guys potentially moving around. But I don't think he's going to be on the flank. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I'll miss him though. He was good on it.
His
Potter
last
is a
option.
perfect slot in.
Yeah.
Who else would you get in there?
That's probably the perfect fit, right? Like crimsix, eggs. Just arguing the whole time.
I mean, yeah. Plus Ben. I mean, Ben is like the best mediator. You got it. Ben is like actually the staple to the flank.
He's an
He
instigator
is.
too. Jesus.
He is.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Everything.
He's really.
Hey, he's
good
real
at
low
that.
key though. He's
As
real low
well.
key.
Yeah. He's some sort of the radar with his questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quite like that lineup. I mean, any more than 4 just can't happen. But I saw people were saying about trying to build like the most toxic roster ever. Like so what would be the we're gonna have to try and find the 4 most toxic players. Like, okay, you build this team of 4 and it's like the most trash talk you can ever get from a team. Like if you lose to these guys, you're getting your head screwed. So people were saying Scrappy, I think it's got to be on there for the modern era. This guy's out of control.
Oh no, I mean, are we doing retired players or current
Yeah,
players?
retired. I was gonna throw Aches in there. I was gonna have like Aches, Scrappy,
Coach?
Killer?
plus
Killer?
2.
Killer was talking
Oh
shit.
my god, Killer was good actually. Killer was good. I guess Killer counts.
Coach Mr. X.
Ah man, I mean, mixed X and Aches have got to be the duo there.
Hilton.
Hilton.
Are you kidding
Hilton
me?
was-
Is that the guy in the,
Well, I was
suit?
think- yeah, the
Dude
guy
showed
the
up in
big
a
suit,
suit
yeah.
just to scream at you. Like,
I mean, he was talking good
fuck?
trash. I've actually seen him lately. He's been in a lot of the optic
Yeah.
stuff.
Because
been
he's a
back
part
in-
owner. He's a
Yeah,
part
he's
owner
back.
of Envy.
Envy or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Hilton's back, baby. Let's go.
So what was our lineup? Hilton coach, Scrappy.
Yeah, Hilton coach, Scrappy.
Crim.
I mean, Crim doesn't actually talk. Well, he does talk a bit of
He
trash.
does the fucking.
He talks in the
what's it-
No
interviews.
bullshit.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
bullshit. Crim, Clay, Aches, Killer. Hilton
Oh
as a
my
coach.
god, man. I mean, that would actually be the most toxic
would
team as
literally
well internally,
pay to watch
not
those
just in terms
scrims.
of trash talk. Oh my god. So like I stumbled across some content recently of one of these, like, I think it was Hagi's team from Ghosts, and it was like, I think it's the most toxic comms I've ever heard. Like, there's footage of their scrims that are actually still on YouTube of them just screaming at each other like all the time. They honestly, I'm not like, how do these teams even survive? I mean, Hagi back then was probably only like 19, 20. Like, it's crazy.
That's a
favorite-
YouTube video. Most
favorite
toxic
for-
comms in COD history.
Yeah.
if anyone ever wants to get
write that down,
bored-
Emma.
and wants to watch something, the funniest fucking one is Revan, call out.
Bro,
I'm not
that's
doing
funny.
anything. Okay, I'm at the
Yeah,
bar.
that
I'm
is
at
a
the bar.
good
I'm
one,
at the
that is a
bar.
good
I'm
one.
checking left. No one left. No one front. No one front.
That's it for like 3
Go
minutes
be up, go
straight.
be
I'm
up,
like, yo.
Shoot someone in the back. Dead.
yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, it's just quality, I mean, honestly. That's what it's all about. And apparently, like, that was at its peak in Ghosts. So, yeah, the trash talk was next level. So I think we need, like, a mix of modern day. Like, I would quite like to have Drazah and Scrappy. I know the roles don't make any sense, but Drazah and Scrappy from the new age, and then a couple of, old-timer legendary trash talkers. Zip them up. Yeah,
Look at my bank
That's
account.
We just mentioned
God.
miracles in the chat.
You out here watching? We're playing.
God, that team, eh?
Bro,
But
they
that was
went
like
fucking
built
wild.
different, man.
That was after their like huge success, and they were kind of just like riding high. And
That was like a
then
local
started
event.
falling
Like, it
apart.
was.
Well, Karma
yeah.
was saying they would like show up, get like absolutely plastered for like the first 4 days of the tournament, and then like be hung over on Sundays and still try to win.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
just you can't make this stuff up in constant.
Absolutely savage.
It's just so funny. Like The difference between back then, I mean, you were just saying you were putting together the stats for some of the world championships, right, Austin? And we were looking at some of the old school tourneys and the players that would play and just turn up to champs, drop like a 0.3 and go back to career or something.
Let me rant for a second. The most bullshit thing I've ever seen is people compare champs from now to then. Right now, there's no free wins. There's nobody. People think Paris, but that's a hard match. And back, I'm in Call of Duty Ghosts right now. I'm getting all the stats from Ghosts. I'm gonna go from game to game. We have teams from every country that you can think of. There's teams from Korea. There's teams from South Africa. There's teams from New Zealand. There's teams from Germany, Sweden, everything. This man, Apathy, has a 2.65 for the group stage. This man was pub starring on freaking South Koreans and Swedish players, and this is what we consider the same as what we're playing now.
Yeah,
like,
bring back the
bro,
open bracket. Woo.
the entire complexity team has a 1.5 in the group stage. Theory
That's
has a
crazy.
1.86, and then we have half the players at COD Champs are now have a 0.5. Like what? Like,
Like,
come on.
Well, those are the days with 32 teams. Regardless, I miss that. Like,
Yeah, no, I do.
I wouldn't mind 16
Like-
shit teams just coming and
like, that's-
play. Just
Nowadays, they
32.
wouldn't be bad.
That's a good World Cup. That's a good World Cup. But like as a champs, like 16 of those 32 teams are just not at the quality to be competing for a world championship. So the whole group stage was just the pro teams absolutely just picking on these poor teams. I watched a blitz. It was 36-2. They ran into the blitz portal 36 times. Like, when do you wave the white flag? That's just bull.
What?
Bro, I didn't know this ever happened. A German team forfeited. They refused to play the third map. They got
Throw in
bullied.
the towel. Throw in the towel.
It was 260-30 in the domination. They lost the S&D 6-0 and literally got up, took their headsets off, and said, "GG's, we're going back to Germany." Like they middle of champs. Like
That's funny.
what?
Oh
Like-
my god, man. That's unbelievable.
You might have to link me there. I might post that later.
Like, bro, I didn't even know that happened. That's what we're considering, like, comparing stats-wise to what happened now. I was mind blown. I'll link it to you right now. I'll find
At
it.
least it was a world championship, though. Like, that's the thing. At least there actually were teams from around the world. Like, I'll give them credit. Like, it was the world championship, and there actually were teams from different countries. Now it's, the best you get is Paris.
Man, we need a
London,
World
of
Cup,
course.
bro. I was building World
Yeah,
Cup
we
teams
really
last
do.
week, bro. Like,
Ready?
this show
I
would be
don't-
so good.
I don't even know if we can play videos on stream, but like this is the video of like Gandhi coming on and Mr. X, and they're just like, "Well, we've never seen this before." But Rain has just gotten up and left their stations and forfeited the map 3. That's
Who are
not
they
how you want to go
playing?
out in COD Champs. Lightning Pandas. They weren't even playing like a great team. They were playing like
Bro,
not to take away anything from them. They were still like a top they were like probably like a top 15 team at the time, but they were getting bullied, and then they just forfeited.
I'm gonna watch that later. I might post it.
Oh, man, that is comedy. Yeah, I mean, look, there you go. Just goes to show the competition, baby. It's built different nowadays. So much so Crim can't even get in the league. Tough scenes. But yeah, I mean, good tangents there from the boys. I think what we can go back to just as we finish out the show, and I don't know if Emma can maybe bring that up like as to close out the show or something, but whatever. We've got a couple more teams to discuss. One of which is Florida. Going back to these boys real quick because they seem to have selected their main AR. They've got Major Maniac is seemingly going to be their guy, bringing him back. Right, they let him go as unrestricted free agent. Now they're going to re-sign him probably. Vickle is the other guy from the Toronto Ultra Academy NA. They're bringing him in. That seems to be the team of 2, right, Crone? I don't know what your latest news is on this, but we initially heard Gizmo Nasty, and now we're thinking Havoc Brack, which I think I probably marginally prefer.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm a retired leaker now, so I'm not in the know as much as I used to, as much as you guys probably expect me to. So the first time I threw out the original roster, like someone told me while we were on streams, I was like, "Fuck, I'll just put it on there, like fuck it," because I had nothing on there, so I didn't double check nothing. So I don't know what was true, what was false. That was just something I'd heard, but I would assume that Vickle and Major Maniac are probably like a pretty most certainly on the roster. And then I had heard, I don't know, I don't remember who it was from, so I don't know if it was a decent source, but they said, Wait, who was it? It was Brack and what was the other one?
I've got Havoc
Oh,
on there.
Havoc, yeah. Which I think that's better than that one that I had was with Nasty and Gizmo. Because I'm going to
That didn't
assume
make much
here, and
sense
this
to
is
me, but
yeah, like again, I'm not in the know as much as I should, and when it comes to European players or teams, I don't have like super connections in Europe. But I would probably assume that I think Nasty is gonna probably stay in London, and with Paul and probably Zero, I don't know who the fourth will be. So I don't think Nasty is gonna be on Florida. I think it would probably be Major Maniac, V Cool, and then probably like a mix up of the other two, Havoc or Brack. But someone did DM me today and said there might be another change. I think Sensor mentioned there was like another change in Florida on stream.
oh man, my
I don't
heart
know.
skipped a beat when you said censor, bro. I thought you meant he was coming in. Damn, I
No,
got all excited there for a second.
Come on, no. You're already pre-writing your YouTube caption already. Jesus.
Rebel almost just had the dip boost mid
Yeah.
podcast.
He just opened up his Photoshop to make the
Alright,
fucking
I'm out.
to make the thumbnail. But no, I don't know what their final team is, and like I said, I assume it would be like Major Maniac, Vehicle, probably like certainly locked because I don't think there's not any other main ARs out there really apart from obviously Crim and Clay, and I guess Gunless if he wants to play main AR. But I would assume with those two and the other two, I'm not really sure who fills the squad. I think Havoc would fit the glove perfectly, and for their flicks, I'm not sure.
Well, Brack coming in would be crazy. His last
Yeah, I would
match
like to see that.
was when he lost when he was on LG at COD Champs 2019 when he was teaming
Wow.
with Formal, John.
Yeah, he never played for Toronto, did he? And
Slack.
Sky
Slacked, right?
Slacked.
I
No,
think
he
that
never
was the
played for
team.
Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
they
was only on the
lost game
bench.
5. So they beat 100 Thieves round 1 at Champs
Oh
2019.
yeah,
And then they lost round 2 to Reciprocity game 5.
Reciprocity.
And then they lost to General and Enigma 6 in the losers bracket game 5. And that was
Wow.
how he ended his pro career for, well, I guess nearly 3.5 years by the time he potentially comes in, which is crazy. Is that like one of the biggest gaps between pro and then going amateur then pro again?
Gotta be
Probably,
up
right?
there.
that's
Maybe
impressive to
Parasite.
be not on the
Parasite
starting team
Kenny.
for 3 years.
Parasite
Yeah.
played in
Technically,
last year.
might be Envoy because he played in
Yeah,
AW.
that's why I said
and
Kenny
then,
as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay,
like
Kenny came back in
when
World
you're
War II.
eligible,
Yeah.
yeah. I
for
guess when
being
you're eligible,
to be
that
out for
probably
3
is.
years, it's kind of impressive.
Technically, Two Real people don't know that he played. He was Camilo Cabello, and he played against the United squad, who was it's the tournament they won, the first one they won when it was like Alec
Atlanta?
Christini. Yeah, they Camilo Cabello when he was going under that played them
What?
in that tournament. Like it was
I
a
did
pro
not know
tournament,
that.
and then he came back this year. He's like 24. He's been around.
I think they bring
Yeah,
him back.
blows my mind, bro. TJ, I
Dave
can't believe
Paddy's on
TJ
a
is younger
sub,
than
bro.
him.
Rest in peace.
Wait, what'd you say?
Well, Dave Paddy's on the sub bench is what I was trying to say.
What about if you
thought
took
they
a
were gonna build
combination of the
around him.
two like rumored rosters, and then you did like Mike, Brack, Nasty, and Vickle? I feel like that would be a good
That's not
combination
bad.
of the two.
Yeah.
But
But I actually do think they're Nasty staying off London. Like that's the vibes that I'm getting.
I think Nasty's
pretty
good.
I
Yeah,
like
same. I
that
think he
for
deserves
London, but
another
like
chance.
they need a Slayer SMG alongside him. Like, if they don't get Wardy, what are
Wardy.
they doing? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like it should be Wardy and Beans.
Surely
like,
this is
I don't-
locked in
I don't
already,
know.
no?
We'll never
Just
play.
lock it
But
in
I don't.
before someone
Yeah, I
makes
would want if I was a London fan, I would want Wardy, Beans, Nasty, and Zero. Like I
Yeah,
don't know
that's a
why.
nasty
I don't know what
team.
the issue. I don't know if they have an issue with each other or if they're beefing. I think someone said that Wardy was like a. Some people like. I guess he rubbed people the wrong way. I guess
I don't care,
maybe
bro.
that's an
He's
issue.
got
Like,
a 1.3
those
Bro.
dudes,
champs on a
those
sub.
dudes are those dudes are insane. They should be starting on London. So I don't know. And even Beans picking Boston. You know, he's going to be playing challenges with Center, what was it, Valance and Shawnee.
Shawnee?
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if London just have a bad reputation or, you know, there's maybe the players don't want to play with these two dudes. But I honestly would have thought that those two players would have just fit right into London. But I guess not. And I hope Wardy is the fourth if it is paulehx, Nasty and Zero.
It's also like the paulehx question to me, like, do you actually want paulehx or do you want Gizmo? I think it's an interesting question because like they had their successes with either this season, but you know, if you want to keep the UK vibes, I mean, I don't know. I thought the team got on pretty well with Gizmo. I feel like Gizmo at his ceiling, I think, is actually a better player. They both sucked on land, to be fair. So there's that. But like,
as a UK fan, do you want this London team to be all UK based? Like, how much does that matter to you? Because like,
I would prefer it to be, definitely.
From my perspective, like I think that's like a missed opportunity not to be full UK, like not UK but full European. And if it's ever a good full European team, like we just saw what happened with Toronto. Like they like the full community is like behind them, like pushing for them to do good. I mean, maybe you still get that with just one North American player, but
I think it loses something though, because it's the same thing when London had like Haggy and like paulehx in Cold War. Like I think a lot of fans of, because I don't really support a particular team, I more support players, but I generally just support like the UK players in practically everything in all sports that I follow. And it's the same thing here in a way. Like I don't know, it took a bit away for me for the London team when they had like paulehx was there and the team wasn't fully UK. I think a lot of people preferred at that point to support the Toronto boys because at least that was kind of like a fully European team. Not just because they were better at the time, but also like it was just it's like a European COD fan. It was just a more fun and sensible team to support. So yeah, I think it matters personally. Maybe a lot of because London has a really big fan base actually. Like there's actually their Discord goes crazy. A lot of UK people are super on the London train, which is awesome to see. But I don't know if that gets affected if they get paulehx. Like I personally would prefer to see either Gizmo or Beans plus Nasty and Wardy plus 0, whatever. I don't know. I've heard stories about paulehx and I'm like, yeah, I'm not convinced if I was the GM. But I know, of course, Odie can make the call and the boys.
Has Skrapz and Wuskin ever been like thought about? Or have they thought about coming back? Have you heard anything?
yeah,
Coming back.
They're coming back.
Yeah, they're playing challenges.
Good.
I don't think they should get a pro league spot right away, but I'm actually super like Wuskin. I know I'm not too high on. Like I know he's a main AR. I know it's gonna be harder for him to get back in. I still can't believe Maddie wasn't in. I think Paris probably regret letting him go. I feel like he's a terrific player. I don't know if he's gonna still be that terrific player after a year off, but I feel like he's gonna get looked at after a couple months of running. I feel like he'll do really good in challenges if he keeps his head level and like keeps grinding on it. Like I feel like he could be a really good player.
He's using pedals now too. He's not using X to jump.
Is he actually? Wow, this is
couldn't believe. I couldn't believe that he used to use that. I couldn't
X to jump. Like, and he was good
changed,
too.
right? How long ago did Octane change? There's no way Octane still jumps with X.
I mean, they should have changed when the Scuff controller came out.
Yeah, back in 2005.
Octane, it wasn't long ago that Octane was still using like default settings, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, to be real, like any player that's playing Claw should be for the future of your career, you should be fucking trying very hard to switch over to playing with not Claw. Like
the Skrapz wasn't even playing Claw. He played default.
No. He would literally take his hand off the jump.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, like, press X, I don't know how he was so good.
That's actually unbelievable.
Trust me, because for those who don't know, I was one of his coaches in Black Ops 4, and I used to sit there and watch him, and then Asim had like weird button configurations too, and then MC's over there with the same controller for 20 years. Some say he was born with it, and then like we had also it was always fun watching everyone with their weird like different like rituals and stuff they had.
Yeah, like a Beezy uses sticker move. I think he's the only player that uses sticker move.
I think a lot of
like you jump with R3.
No,
sticker move is the wave.
I think a lot of people switch over to that. It was the same thing with the stick and slide from Cold War. I think like once people like found out that was good, they all switched over to it.
Yeah, and I think Hydra uses bumper jumper, which I don't know if he still uses it, but he did use it last year, where you like jump with L2 or R2.
Yeah, which one? Yeah, like your tactical button, I think.
Halo kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but any of that stuff is way better than playing Claw or. I mean, I use like a controller with the paddles on, but I only use one of the paddles. I just use one paddle to slide, and then I don't use the other paddle, and then I jump with X. Or I jump with R3.
Yeah. I changed the sticker move and like I don't know when because I couldn't afford to buy a new scuff or better beef every time they broke. So I was like, fuck, I'll just use sticker move so I don't have to buy one.
I mean, I just hope just for like the sake of people's hands, because a lot of people are having like hand issues that play claw.
Yeah.
And like it's everyone's hands that are just doing that. Yeah, I just hope a lot of people hand exercises and try making the switch in the off season if you still can.
Yeah, I saw like even Sib deleted a tweet. He talked about like carpal tunnel or like tendonitis or something. He was like getting some issues, and I'm like, damn, boys, like Sib's barely in the pro league, and already we've got issues. We've got Illy having issues. We've got Alex had his like issues back in Modern Warfare.
Neptune as well.
Bro, people think it's ATS, but all these players play claw.
Yeah, that I think is the key. I tried to play because people talked about claw a while ago. I tried to play claw for like. Well, I probably only tried for maybe 15 minutes, and I was like, this is not going to happen. Like, my hand's already killed after you doing it. Yeah. And of course, maybe you adjust it or whatever, but like, I knew that was not healthy for my hand, trying to contort my index finger like that. Ugh. Awful.
So, did you guys run tactical in Black Ops 4 so you could like use the B bumper to like melee, like shot punch?
Yes.
And like slide?
Yeah, I used yeah. Or no, I used
my melee.
Actually.
My melee was X. It was a struggle for shot punching.
Yeah, I just use I still use circle, so I just have to move my thumb off the stick to press it, but so it's maybe a little bit less quick than it could be, but I'm still pretty cracked with the shot punch, I'm not gonna lie.
Back, so, I use back right button.
Yeah, that would be more efficient, but you know, if I was going pro, I'd do it. But I mean, yeah, like, the whole Skrapz Wuskin thing's interesting because they kind of missed their chance in a way. Like if they'd have stuck around into Cold War, they would have been back soon. Like I still think Skrapz actually, especially I think he has a really high ceiling. Wuskin like has been good, but I was never like fully sold on him. But he did have like a 1.4 every series with London in Modern Warfare for whatever that's really worth, which isn't much because Octane did the same. But yeah, I don't know how much grinding do you think it would take for those guys? Because if they were to come to challenges, have some decent results, like I don't know,
they would catch up quick.
Yeah, I think they would because it's a weird. It's not like they got dropped from the league because they were bad and now they're trying to make it back. Like they were dropped because of team circumstances and then didn't really get a spot and decided to quit because 4v4 wasn't working for them with the spots that were available, which maybe was fair enough given the Warzone thing that was happening at the time. But I don't know, I feel like people will look more fondly maybe on those players than players like, you know, Spart and, you know, 2Real, for example, will have a difficult time getting another spot because, you know, had your chance, didn't work out, back down to challenges, grinding away, whereas Skrapz and Wuskin didn't exactly grind challenges, so maybe, like, we haven't seen what they could have done the last couple of years, even though the other players we kind of have seen what they've done, so maybe they get more positive treatment, I don't know. I'd like to see it, because they've got a lot of fans, actually. I get people asking me quite a lot about what's going on with them too.
Yeah, I hope they come in. I hope they really like fully commit to a couple months of challenges at the beginning of the game, and like actually, like if you're actually gonna say that you're coming back, like actually really commit, because I want to see like how hard they go. Because like I feel like they could definitely, bro. We have like 5 like European majority teams right now, or like European split teams. Like there is ample opportunity to make it back into the pro league if you put the effort in and you are accessible to being in the NA. So like I could see them definitely getting on a team if they come back and they're still good and if they put full effort in.
I think they will full commit. I think before the problem was they fell in love with the Warzone grind and the stream money. But Warzone is kind of like, you know, falling off the face of the earth at the moment. So
but like when Warzone 2 comes out, like
don't
fall back into that. Yeah. Just give it a little while to grind for a little while, and you'll have a chance to be in.
Agreed.
My one wish.
Any final things you guys want to talk about? Because if there's any questions that you guys have in the chat, it'd be interesting to hear. Because I didn't really have much else on the list for today. The only other thing I had was the whole nadeshot versus frosty drama that was quite funny last night.
There's not much to say there, bro. Frosty took a fat L. I don't know what else to say.
It was brutal. It was a brutal L, I can't lie. I was reading through his replies to his tweets this morning, just kind of chuckling to myself because
bro, he still thinks he's in the right too. Like, I don't know, man.
But
Yeah,
he's
just,
also
like,
going to own it. He's
deactivated
owning
his
it
Twitter.
because did you see how many viewers he got? He was on what, like 20,000 viewers on his stream?
It's
Like,
hard for me to
bro,
feel
he
bad for him.
Took a dub.
Bro, it's so
what
hard to
off
feel
dub.
bad for him when he's talking about all that while he has 26,000 viewers in sub-only mode while playing fucking 4-minute ads. I tried going in and I had a 4-minute ad. I was like,
He's not
brother.
waiting.
Bro, he
knows where his
doesn't know when
meal
his
is
next
now.
meal is.
Ah,
Yeah, exactly.
nice one, man.
But-
Sure. He needs to
Hell
turn
yeah.
around.
And
There's
then he puts the fucking cherry on top and he goes, "Why do I have to show proof? I'm not lying."
yeah, I put
exactly.
that clip at the end of
But
my
he
video.
tweeted.
It's
He
comedy.
tweeted that he was gonna pull proof. He was like, "I don't need to show proof."
Yeah, his sources were trust me, bro. It was
Yeah,
impressive.
That was like literally the stream of "Trust Me, Bro."
Just fantastic
but-
stuff from him.
But then everything nadeshot said was like, it made sense. Like, if you view it from like a third eye perspective, you can just see exactly how that situation came to be with the mob. It never looked like they were being used because like 100 Thieves actually gave them the opportunity to become something bigger. And like, because they were just 4 dudes on Twitter posting shitty memes. And then Nade's like, all right, if we actually put you in an organization, give you the right like path to success, maybe they'll be able to do it. And then they just turned out to not be those guys. They're not those guys, pal.
And why
I'll be real
would
too.
nadeshot ever go live as the CEO of 100 Thieves and lie? Like, he's clearly not lying. Like, he obviously did his research. He checked the contracts, checked the receipts. Like, I'm on nadeshot's side 100%.
Bro, you read and then you read like Avalanche, what is it, Mako, and then Classy.
Yeah, classy. Yeah.
And like I'm reading all these guys' tweets, and like no one's even trying to semi-support him. And then Class is like tweeting at Nade, and he's like, "Bro, like, don't stop supporting don't stop taking risks on small content creators because of this. Like, still try to do that because you did good." And like he was tweeting out like supporting Nade. I'm like, if that doesn't tell you, well, whose side to be on this, like, I got questions, man.
Well, Frosty
Yeah,
got
it's
paid
like-
for the day, so. I mean,
Well,
he's
he
happy.
did. I mean, maybe that was his plan all along, but yeah, I don't know. It's just always the COD community's going to be biased in nadeshot's favour, but for good reason, because he's been on both sides of the fence and he's worked a long time to make this happen. And it's also interesting because I know that nadeshot did mention, like, I did go back and watch the full thing just to hear the kind of full context. And it's interesting because there's a lot of glorification, and understandably, of like actually working hard and putting in the grinds and doing what it takes to succeed, making sacrifices, which I think is all valuable stuff. But, you know, at the same time, there can be like the glorification of that to an extent to which it kind of affects your health and stuff. I'm not saying it's the case in this specific circumstance, but I thought it was interesting to mention because I know nadeshot did talk about it, because I think like some people, they grind so hard that they actually end up sacrificing their own mental and physical health, which is not where you want to be. Because it's like when I've put effort in.
I've been there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've put in effort building this channel, but I've never done that at the expense of my health. Like I put in a lot of hours, but I haven't put in so many hours that all of a sudden, like, you know, things
Zombie
start to
walking.
yeah, you're straight zombie mode, you know. So
Oh, yeah, you've got a
there's
sauce,
always
bro.
a
Like, I
balance.
feel like you have. That's what makes it work for you. You have like the perfect balance, you know. That's what I love about you.
You try. I mean, it's all consistency in not just like timing. Honestly, is all it is. Like if you do the same thing at the same time. There's like a great quote from a writer. I forget what he is. He's like, I only write when inspiration strikes, but inspiration strikes at precisely 9 o'clock every day or something like that. Because he just sits down and writes at that time, and obviously it worked for him. So anyway, just some facts from the boys. But yeah, I don't know. I saw someone quickly did mention the chat about Paris Legion. Are they not changing their owners going into next year? Which I don't think is the case. But I'm thinking, are they planning here? Go to Vegas, get some, you know, build a bit of clout with the organization, and then selling on next year. I kind of hope that's the case. Like, are they gearing up for the sale, do we reckon, Crane?
That's what I think. I think the CDL just said, look, just have Vegas, please just take it if it means that, there's more people interested in the spot.
Yeah.
And, look, like, I can guarantee that the CDL wants them gone, but obviously they can't just push them out. But they probably just said, look, just take the spot, bro.
Do you think so?
Just take it.
Because like
what?
you hear like sometimes that like Drew Betancourt, Drew McCourt is like
Drew
on
McCourt.
like usually like Hex, like he's on like Hex's side with like stuff. Like sometimes it makes it sound like I don't know. Like sometimes I think like they just haven't invested yet, and the league just wants them to invest more to be more like active. Like if they start spending money, like people will forget pretty quickly how like actual bad they were. Like you got to think of like the Shanghai Dragons of like Owl. Like they lost like 30 straight games, and then they came back and won a world championship like 2 years later after they.
I feel like
reset what were doing.
their franchise was trying though. Like Paris Legion have literally 4
I'm
people on their payroll.
I'm pretty sure they didn't. I'm pretty sure they had
Were
like.
they not? I don't watch.
I'm pretty sure they were like taking like the scraps because it was a Chinese team, and they were taking like the scraps of the Chinese team, and then just like made them practice literally like 18 hours a day, and then just sent them out to like lose. And then we're like it was like a horrible environment. And then they actually started investing in like coaching staffs and like everything like that. And then all of a sudden they like turned it around within 2 years. Like if Vegas does that, people will quickly forget the past like couple of years. They might say they won't, but if they actually start doing it, they will. People already forgot Seattle was not good for like 2 straight seasons. And now everyone's like forgotten
On the
about
Seattle
that.
train. Yeah. I feel you. I at least hope that they can be competitive to an extent, because last year the race for champs was great, and I do think that the race for champs can still be great this year, but it's like I think the top of the league consolidated a bit more. Like I think I could pretty confidently tell you pretty much who at least the top 4 teams are going to be, and probably the top 6 teams. Like I think we could give it a good go right now, even off these rumors saying who's not going to make champs. Like let's just do it now. Who's not going to make champs? Paris, Florida, probably London, unfortunately, and then don't know. We've got to find one more. But I mean,
Lego Boston maybe.
Yeah, I reckon I'm getting
Boston
75% on my 4 that I pick right now. But I think that they can be a close race. I just think the top of the league is now maybe a bit more consolidated than it was. And if Paris are good, then there's a battle there, because last year was so dull because it was always terrible. Like, at least if they build a decent team, like they had in, even like a Cold War, Paris was bad, but they got 8 wins. Last year they got 2.
You can't get no worse than 2.
There's
if they get 1 next year, if they get 1 win next year, I'll tattoo their logo on my ass, like straight up. There's no way that happens.
Clip that.
Clip that.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, their roster right now isn't very good, right? It's just literally just Don so far.
It's Donny, baby. Don and Theory is the sub. Please sign a proper sub as well, please.
Yeah.
Prove you're trying.
I think they will. I think they'll spend more this year.
I hope so, bro. I want to see them get a GM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it's Theory, the coach, Temp, the player. Then they have like another dude called Mario. I don't know what he does, and then the owner, and that's it.
I think they have an analyst too.
I don't know if they paid him though.
They did.
Oh no, they had the other guy.
Yeah, they Apox was the one that they didn't pay, but they had JP Digits.
Yeah, the other JP.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And then for their social media, they hire out an agency, the same as Boston hire an agency. It's a different agency though, so that they don't have a social media manager. They just hire someone else to take care of it.
I'm pretty sure they do the same content-wise too, which is fine. But you probably need a little bit more staff on the management side.
Yeah.
Probably. All right, good stuff. I think we can leave it there, boys. Final thoughts, gents, on the week. I mean, yeah, Crane, when do you think we're going to get the next announcement? Because I thought Boston might be announcing tonight because they were teasing stuff, but they haven't. I guess they're making videos, right? Which I'm down for, to be fair.
I wouldn't have a clue when the next announcement is, bro. People got to film content, but the Boston, I don't know how long Boston will tease this for. I thought it was going to be yesterday because they were doing like a little loading thing. It was like 97%. I was like, sweet announcement today, but no, it wasn't today. I think I saw Priest put out a signing emoji yesterday.
Skies as well.
Not yesterday, sorry, like 3 days ago. Yeah, Skies. So maybe we'll get a New York one soon. But who knows? I wouldn't have a clue.
It's slow moving after a while. I don't think we'll know all the rosters until like game launch. Maybe a little bit sooner. But it gets so slow moving.
Yeah, the beta's soon, so the rosters will probably be playing with each other, chows and whatever. If you can have chows on betas.
Oh, they do like the kill chows. You remember? They have 4 people play in like a TDM, and then whoever scores more points wins.
I remember in BO4, if you had a 5-man, you could just all search at the same time, and it would just match you with the 2 5-mans. So that's how they would play. And they would just hope to get search because I think search was in the beta rotation.
Oh, people, we get desperate, man. We get so desperate.
Desperate for some good games.
It's so funny.
That was when they were using the Spitfire too. The Spitfire was OP as fuck in the beta.
Yeah. Anyway, Linus, been good to have you back on.
Oh, I was here last week.
Yeah, well, it's sometimes it doesn't always be the case, but
I'm
back in
come and go. Today. Busy guy. Got I feel like 4 jobs. Well, not actually 4 jobs, but essentially 4 different obligations.
Look at that nature out here. Let's go.
Oh, fuck. Not quite as rich, man, but it's all right. We'll get there one day. But yeah, so I'm finishing the cards today. Me and Austin are going to work on doing the LAN cards as well for the year. Might do online ones, we'll see. Cool. Then Austin's been collecting stats for like old events, so we might have like COD Champs 2014 stuff coming out. So just a bit of off-season content for you guys. I'm going to be grinding a bit, trying to grow the
I'm going to have the probably a World Cup graphic, like teams for the World Cup graphic next week. I think Roosevelt's on holiday at the moment, so I have to wait till next week.
Do you want me to help you with that?
But I already got the teams, I just need a graphic.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to help there, then sure.
Yeah, I maybe can.
Yeah, the boys love to see it. Crane's retired, but he's still on the move. We don't miss. Yeah,
I'm not leaking no more, but I still wanna have some Twitter content for the boys.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully we can stay tuned on that one. But thanks all for tuning in. Thanks all for watching on the live, of course, as it is right now on Twitch and YouTube. After the fact as well. If we haven't hit 20k yet by the time you're watching, come on, you know what to do. We'll be back in due course. Thanks, boys, for joining me as always. Take care of yourselves at home, and we'll see you next time.